Hello, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. In this video, we're going to take a look at one of the all-time classic model railway track plans, Minories. Minories is probably one of the most enduring model railway track plan concepts. I mean, it could be argued that it, or at very least its creator, Cyril John Freezer, launched the exhibition model format. That's to say, the terminus to fiddle yard, rest of the world idea when you go through the tunnel. It packs a great deal of operational interest into a very tight space, but also introduced some very clever little design tricks for construction, which are still widely used today. First big hurdle to jump over is the degree of confusion over the pronunciation of the name. Many pronounce the word Minories, believing the name to have been born out of minor in reference to the compact nature of the plan, but it was inspired by a former parish in the City of London. The etymology of the name derives from the former Abbey of the Minoresses of St. Clair. A minoress was a nun of the Franciscan order. This comes from Latin sorores minores, or lesser sisters. So it is really a case of whether you can use the assumed Latin pronunciation or the anglicized pronunciation of the word minor or minor. I'm going to stick with Minories just because I think it sounds more like a place name than Minories. Cyril John Freezer was editor of Railmodeller from 1950 to 1978 and Model Railways from 1978 to 1983. He was a prolific creator of model railway track plans and is widely considered the father of the terminus to fiddle yard exhibition style layout. His many published books are considered required reading on the field of UK railway modelling. He was born in East London and trained as an engineer in the dockyards of the Isle of Dogs, so was very familiar with the railway network in that area. Now, the Metropolitan Railway low-level platforms underneath London Liverpool Street were the inspiration for the Minories layout, not the Minories station, which was part of the London and Blackwall Railway. That station, built in 1840, and was eventually closed in 1968 before the site was then occupied by Tower Gateway Station, which is on the current Docklands Light Railway. So the Liverpool Street low level was set, unsurprisingly, in a deep brick cutting in the crowded urban environment of London. The kernel for the Minories layout, published in 1957, was to pack as much operational interest into a tight space. Until then, most model railways were large, sweeping loops that needed huge amounts of space, or compact rural station layouts that really struggled to capture the essence of the open space of the branch terminus, with the limited space available to people making the models. Freezer wanted to capture the bustle of a cramped urban setting. Scenery could be kept at a minimum as a result of the deep cutting setting. One of the key factors in the layout plan was that it did not feature a runaround loop, so loco hauled trains would have to decouple and another loco would need to run the stock back out. A small shed or a turntable even, a spur or bay platform for a pilot loco, and a short carriage siding or parcels depot are all combinations of what we can see in the Minories layout. The original layout measured 0.3 meters in depth by 2.1 meters in length, or that's 1 by 7 feet in old money, and that actually included the fiddle yard. What made the plan so enduring was not just the operational interest, but also the storage solutions incorporated into the design. The layout design is divided into two separate baseboards that could be folded over on a hinge. The hinges were hidden not underneath the track baseboard, but actually above, underneath a bridge which was placed in the centre of the layout. The high embankment walls create a natural scenic break and creates a legitimate reason for the exit tunnel to the rest of the world. Two running lines access all three platforms, and the curve around the signal box gives the impression of a longer running space. Another benefit was that all the point work gathered on one baseboard. In the 1950s, remote point mechanisms or early switches did not respond well to having to cross a baseboard join. The track plan of the original, doodled by CJ Freezer whilst waiting for a train, did not have the kickback siding, which opened up a little bit of freight traffic and further variety. The station throat had a pair of crossovers, which enables all platforms to access each running line and likewise in reverse. The elegance of the layout actually meant that any move only ever had one reverse curve. It should come as no surprise that there is a Minories layout available for trains, a model rail layout from NexusDJ, which is available on the download station. It is a beautifully rendered interpretation of the original plan, set in 1970s to 1980s BR corporate blue era. Obviously, this Minories layout demonstrates one of the flexibilities you have with trains to program. This is a model railway layout and not a life scale size, so it's all scaled down to 00 gauge, and there is a clear adaptation to the original plan length. From the station back wall to the tunnel mouth, so the exhibition visible amount of layout, there is 12 feet in 00 scale, and the depth is a little under 2 feet. The layout actually extends in a U, and the fiddle yard is on the other leg of the U. And as you can see on the wall, there is a glorious touch of a series of the old window labels from 80s and 90s routes. That had me immediately pining for my once grand collection of liberated window labels. The layout also has an extra siding alongside the third platform, and that just enables movement in and out of the kickback siding, which is a parcel shed in this example. It oozes atmospheric mid-1980s British rail, and getting these kind of layouts to work, to pop, is all about details. Some of the details you can really spot here are the MAS BR modern image yellow plastic waste bins, the BR concrete platform lamps, period posters, and the low relief station front is probably one of my highlights. Upon opening the layout, I immediately yearned to load up some corporate blue 31s and a handful of Mark 1s. It instantly felt recognisable as a grimy small terminus in the East End of London, but could also pass as a similar secondary terminus in any number of large cities. This could be a slice of Liverpool, Manchester, Nottingham, you name it. I am an unabashed fan of the NEX grey brick retaining wall splines, and this layout uses them to great effect. If you are developing your train's modelling skills, you can learn a great deal from the detail work on this layout. I myself have adapted the GRAZZY fin spline at the base of the retaining walls, which is demonstrated to good use here. This just makes the join between the retaining walls and the ground look a little bit more world-worn and lifelike. If you're a modeller lacking in space or materials, this is a stunning little layout which will help you get your model rail operations fix. And it also goes a long way to demonstrate just how timeless the Minories layout really is. This layout is actually a rebuild of an earlier template model Minories layout built by another user, Euromodeller. That original footprint was 12.6 feet by 1.4 feet in 00 scale. In that original model, as you can see here, there are no scenics, or effectively no scenics, so you could develop your own era and styling on the base, which is exactly what NexusDJ did to great effect. The deliberate design requirement of using high embankment walls and low relief backdrop scenics does prevent the over-enthusiastic modeler from building too much distance from the running lines, which is a mistake that I think many route builders would admit we frequently fall into. Modern DMU operations make a station like this look even more realistic, if a little dull for the operator, But a small compact layout means you can really focus on some high-end detailing and produce some lovely visuals. Look, even my graphic card can handle this. A Minories layout can also be easily tweaked to make a very good compact urban depot diorama as well, which can then serve as a beautiful scene to display your extensive locomotive collection, much like NexusDJ's Minories classic layout is doing here. Until next time, thank you very much for listening.